Welcome to another Linleys video. Hi, I'm Warren Brand, and in this video I would like to show you how the signal box at Woodgate Crescent Station on the Linleys Garden Railway is taking a significant step further towards being fully operational. Last year I added several of the control modules and made a mock-up of the Mimic control panel. Now, at last, I've finished the design ready to make up a finished panel, so here goes. Firstly, it's worth looking at the basic makeup of the signal box unit. The top section is where the Mimic control panel will go. This piece of clear acrylic had a temporary paper front last year, but that all disappeared over the winter. The track plan with the signal repeaters and the section occupation indicators are above the row of control switches. I decided to position the switches in a line like a real signal box's levers, instead of laying them out around the track circuit diagram. The back of the panel is currently a mess, but this set of cables are just temporary. I will tidy up the proper installation when I put in the new panel. The next main section in the middle here is where the electronic modules are housed. There are 8 modules. Each one can be removed easily for maintenance. Connection cables come out from underneath and are long enough to let the modules come forward a little. The first 4 from the left are track section control modules. Each of these manages the movement of a train through the relevant track section. This one is not yet wired up, but it's a typical example of a standard design of module which I've produced. I'll explain more about these and other modules in later videos. Just for now, let's take it that each of these modules controls a train in its linked section. This one's been wired up completely, although some of the connections will be redone when I put the new control panel in. Most of the connections to the modules are made at the connection strip right below each module. The cables going out to the track equipment up to the Mimic panel and also up to the control modules all converge at these junction strips. The next module is the Interlock Manager module, which interfaces with the other modules, switch inputs and signals to prevent conflicting routes or actions being set. The module works like the old mechanical interlocking frame in the basement of signal boxes. The next module is used to control the points. It's got relays and a control circuit board. There are a couple of other specific modules, such as one to manage communications between signal boxes, a power supply module, etc. So below each module is a connector strip on a support bar. Each of these can be removed so the cables behind can be accessed. I designed the signal box cabinet to keep everything for control systems together, tidy but easy to access. Behind is a large space where all the cables loop and coil up out of the way. There are some temporary cables dangling out at the bottom. I added these earlier in the year to get some trains running after rebuilding the station area. Take a look at that series of videos if you haven't seen them yet. The first job this time is to make a removable front panel to cover up the electronic modules and connection bay. A measure up first is needed. I'll use some weatherproof ply for this, painted to match the rest of the cabinet. Marking out accurately before cutting, I just need a simple rectangle to go in the front gap. 2 cuts later, I have the panel ready to try. Yes, of course it fits. I'm adding a batten to the top edge so that the panel will hook up underneath behind the crossbar, just below the control panel. I'll then just need a couple of stainless steel bolt fixings lower down to keep it in place. Some green paint next. I'll add a couple of coats of paint, but this one will do for the moment. Next is the construction of the mimic panel. I have spent over a year designing this on and off, and what you'll see over the next few minutes is the result of hours of tinkering, changing ideas and making mock-ups. I had previously made up a layout plan of the mimic panel and printed it on A3 paper. That was a good test and gave me the chance last year to check the design overall. For the final piece, I've used a CAD program and laser cutter to cut out pieces in 3mm acrylic. This one is a quick cutout on clear acrylic, just to check the layout and make sure it fits. The lines are etched, not cut. I peeled off most of the protective coating, but left some to show the layout of the track plan. It is time to move on to cutting of the real pieces. The main background is white, and this is the first piece I cut out. I have tried and tested several different ways to get the layout marked out on the sheet. I've tried laser cutting coloured layered sheets, but that only gives one other colour. I've tried laser etching out shallow grooves and putting paint in to add the extra detail. I've used clear acrylic with paper behind, but in the end I've chosen to use 3mm white acrylic for the main panel piece and cut out shapes for the track plan, text labels and other features, and then cut separate pieces to insert in from other coloured sheets. Fiddly, but I think it's worthwhile. All the black pieces will come out of this sheet of acrylic. Most of the lettering is black, as well as the track lines. Other bits include the red for the emergency stop button location and blue for the point switches. As the bits are rather small, I've cut the acrylic out on a baseboard of MDF. This does get etched a bit and gives off a sticky goo, but the removable plastic coating on the acrylic stops most of this getting to the acrylic pieces. The MDF does stop the little bits falling through the honeycomb support bed of the laser cutter. An hour or so cutting time later, I have all the bits I need to make up the panel. One of the fiddly bits is the peeling off all the protective coatings. I could have peeled the surfaces off before cutting, but the smoke from the laser cutting and the goo from the MDF would have spoilt the surface of the acrylic. Station label lettering first, the letters come out easily enough from the black sheet, but then pressing in the letters to the background is fiddly. I had to plan this carefully as the thickness of the laser cut is about 0.2 millimeters. So to avoid having this thickness as a gap around each letter or insert piece, I cut the letters and pieces 0.2 millimeters larger. I have to be very careful to avoid losing any of the littlest bits. The inners of the O's and the A all need to be kept. Next, I'm putting in the track layout blocks. Most sections are black, but I've cut out a piece of brown acrylic to denote where the station platform is. Unfortunately, I didn't cut out the 3 holes for the LEDs in this track section. I'll have to drill them out manually later. Easily done with care. I need to use tweezers for some of the very small bits. Without doubt, the letters took some patience to insert. I just took my time and worked carefully with each piece. With the red background and the black lettering for the emergency stop button inserted, I continued with the inserts for each of the control switches. Blue bits for the point levers, red for the signals and black for the other controls. The lettering takes time to insert slowly, with lots of patience. Most of the labels are self-explanatory, but over time, when I install the panel, I'll explain more about them as I go. With the black border layered on top, the panel looks just fine. I'm really pleased with the way it looks. The labels and lines won't peel or flake whilst outside, and hopefully will last a long time in use. I hope I've designed it right. I have covered the front face with masking tape to hold the letters and bits in place while I glue. I'm using Tensol cement, smelly but a good solvent-based glue which tends to melt the acrylic as well as soaking in between the gaps to glue the bits together. It's no good as a gap filler, the acrylic surfaces have to be touching, which they are. With a small paintbrush, I'm pasting over the Tensol, trying to make sure it soaks in a little around the letters and other inserts. I've done a couple of mock-ups of this technique and it works really well. I hope it does this time too. Tensol cement stinks, so I've opened the outside doors to my dining room while I do this. I'm also taking care not to flick any of the cement around. I am wearing my reading glasses though. A couple of hours later, the cement has hardened and I have removed all the tape from the front. Lots more to do, of course, and next time I'll start by adding the switches, LEDs, and then begin cabling it up in the signal box. I hope you've enjoyed this Linleys Garden Railway update. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. And how about adding a comment too? Until next time, thanks for watching and bye for now.